We know you're pretty good at cooking. What ingredients will you put on a quesadilla, the Lion's King quesadilla?
Interesting. Well, I wouldn't go with the bugs. Okay. That's for Timon and Pumbaa. I would probably go with something, you'd want to go for it's the shape of a sun, right? So you want to make it golden, so you use a corn tortilla, and you'd use maybe cheese, golden cheese in there, maybe like cheddar cheese in there, and then you also want, I think maybe something Monterey Jack in there to give it a little spice, and you cook it, and then you'd have some of, there's such beautiful salsa here in Mexico City. I would use their beautiful, salsa verde also to be the savannah. So you have the golden sun and the savannah, and I would plate it with the salsa, a generous portion of salsa splashed across the bottom of it.
There's some kind of magic to the Lion King. And how did you manage to keep this magic? Because I saw the footage yesterday and that was amazing.
Thank you.
And how did you manage? Were you afraid? I mean, after all, you're dealing with a classic.
Yeah, I was afraid. I'm still afraid. But we have a great story, and that's for somebody. I've worked on enough movies as an actor and as a director that the value of a great story is you can't quantify that. Because if you don't have a good story, it doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. You need that. You need that emotional connection with the audience to the characters. And the original Lion King still has it when you watch it. So on the one hand, I felt very confident because I knew there was a great story. It worked. I didn't have to change. I didn't have to fix anything. But the challenge was, how do you make it both feel connected to the old one that people love, but also make it so that when you go to the movie theaters, you don't feel like you're just watching the old one again. You're experiencing something completely new. And that was the challenge. And so a lot of that came down to casting, and a lot of it came down to creating new technologies to tell a story in a way that nobody's seen before.
I want you to tell me if the actors are similar in some way to their characters. For example, James Earl Jones.
Well, James Earl Jones that was very difficult to try to direct him, because he asked me if I had any direction or notes. I'm like, no, it's Mufasa. I only know Mufasa through James Earl Jones. So to me, he's connected to that because the voice and, he created such an impression that he's so iconic in that role. So I don't know where one starts and the other begins. I know that he's played other roles that are very different, so I'm assuming he's not just like him, but he imbues that character with such gravitas and such power that I'm so happy that he agreed to be a part of this.
Donald Glover and Simba.
Donald Glover is a very unique individual who is so talented in so many ways. I knew him through his comedy first. He's a very creative spirit. He's also, I think, he's quite a bit younger than me, but he's very wise and smart, and I think he has a very good objective sense of how it all works, and his music has a bit of humor and irony in it, in addition to being really fun to listen to.
Beyonce and Nala, we're so excited for Beyonce.
Well, Beyonce is someone who works incredibly hard and is an entertainer, is really an entertainer that comes along once in a generation. I've seen her live on stage and with my family, and that made me totally reconceive how we did the role, because she has such an understanding and such a physicality. Not just, you think of her voice, but really, she's on stage and she has tremendous presence. And what's wonderful about her too is that when you talk to her person to person, it's a different persona. When she's performing, she grows into who she is on stage. But she's actually a mom, a wife, a friend, so a very human scale person who has, very relatable, but she takes the work incredibly seriously. And so I was amazed at how well prepared she was, how much she cared, and the part that made me feel really good was how much she respected the Lion King, the story, the original, and wanted to really do a good job fitting into it as we all do.